At the conference standings for the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina currently at 11-4 in first place. Southern Miss tied for second at 10-5 on the heels of a sweep this weekend at home against James Madison. Scott Berry joins us on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Scott, if I ask you to summarize the weekend, because it was three games that were a little bit different on each of the 3 days, how would you summarize this weekend for your ball club?
We were kind of tested in all aspects, to be honest with you, Richard. And Friday night was a little bit different than the other two. Tanner Hall, our Friday night guy, who's usually really lights out. James Madison gave him everything that he wanted and more. He really hadn't been hit like that. I don't think Tanner had his best stuff, but don't take anything away from James Madison. Their approach and their plan really worked well against Tanner. But, sometimes when pitchers don't have their best stuff, the good ones still win, and that's what he was able to do on that Friday night. We got, if you look at the stat column, they out-hit us 15-9. We made 3 errors. They made 1, but the only column that really counts when it's over is the run column, and we came up 1 more than they did, and with a win 7-6. So, real proud of the way our guys stayed the course with that. And James Madison wouldn't go away, but we were able there late in the game with some really strong relief pitching from Cross Sibley and Justin Storm to preserve that win.
Yeah, I kind of did a double take when I was looking at the pitching line for Tanner. I mean, 12 hits, you're just not used to seeing that, but that kind of speaks to who he is as a competitor, doesn't it? To still be able to get into the 6th inning and kind of keep it there, even though he's giving some hits up?
Well, you're exactly right. And, the good thing is that offensively we were able to score runs for him, and it didn't hurt us as far as that goes with him not normally giving up runs. But on this occasion, he did give up 5. 3 of those were unearned. And like I said, we lost the error column that night, making 3 errors, which has been real uncharacteristic of us of late. We've played really good defense, but, just proud of the way that he went in there and kept us going and got into the 6th inning to not get in there and deplete that bullpen with 2 games to go.
I feel like you made a good decision not to bench Slade Wilkes for the rest of the weekend after going 0 for 4 on Friday night. I think that was a good call to go ahead and pencil him in for the next 2 days.
Well, I'll tell you, he's seeing the ball really well and is getting really good swings, and he's not missing them, and certainly his numbers are showing that as well. So he really came up big for us in those next 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, and really couldn't be more proud of a guy. He's not playing totally healthy. That hamstring every time he takes off running to first, especially on something that he's got to run hard. I just say my prayers that he's not going to pull that hamstring worse than it is, and as long as he keeps hitting home runs, he just jogs around, and that's what I told him. Just keep doing that, and you don't have to worry about pulling a hamstring. But no, he's fun to watch right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you hit it over the fence, and you can take your time. You don't have to put any extra stress on that. All right, so 7-6 on Friday. And then in Game 2 on Saturday, Billy Oldham gets the start. He gives you 6 innings and only gives up 1 hit. I mean, what a huge performance. And I feel like this also is probably where we should pause just for a second and talk about Matt Adams and, what his status may or may not be.
Well, you're right. And Billy, we moved him to the weekend because of Matt's shoulder problem that we had last weekend at Old Dominion. Not sure when that timeline is for him to return, but Billy's been covering us really well in the midweeks and knew he was worthy of that weekend start. But, we'd had some guys that were covering it pretty good, but with the injury with Matt, that was a no-brainer to put Billy there. He really pitches, Richard. I mean, he's got 3 pitches for strikes and commands all 3 and can plus and minus you, and that's exactly what he did through 6 innings against Old Dominion. And, he only threw 73 pitches. Certainly I feel like he could have gone another 2 innings the way that he was doing. he just wasn't throwing many balls. He was really pounding the zone. But we had the 4-hour delay, so we weren't able, obviously, to bring him back. And it was really a tale of two different games. The first game was the first half, the 6 innings. Neither team got on the board. It was zeros all the way through. And in the 7th inning, when we resumed play 4 hours later, we were able to retire them. Will Armistead, did an outstanding job covering 3 innings of relief for us. He's been throwing well his last 2 outings. So, but we responded with a 5 spot there in the bottom of the 7th, and it all got started by a 1-out walk by Nick Monaster, who's a freshman, 2 freshmen from Northwest Rankin that's really been inserted in the lineup on Sunday of last week and has responded well at second base. But he got it going with a walk, and Dickerson, who's been swinging it well, gets a 2 RBI single in there, and then Slade follows up with a 3-run homer. Next thing you know, it's been no offense for 6.5 innings, and then all of a sudden there's 5 on the board in a matter of no time.
Did you guys have some lightning that was mixed in with the rain, or was it just raining so hard you had to take
No, it was a mix of both. Of both.
That certainly is tough to go through that. That plays out well for you. And then in yesterday's game, I mean, you talk about setting the tone. You give up the run in the top of the first, but then you go 3 in the first, 3 in the second, 4 in the third. You put 5 more on in the fifth. 15 runs, 15 hits. That's a day that feels really good walking away from the ballpark, I would think.
It does. And, the best thing about that first 10 innings is 7 of them came with 2 outs. And, those are always backbreakers. And we as coaches are always talking about the importance of 2-out hits and how that just demoralizes that defense. And they're almost out of it. And then you're able to drive those runs in. And that's what we were doing. And we haven't done that all year. So it was refreshing to see us yesterday do those things, especially early on. But once again, Wilkes and Sargent, if we can get Sarge going, then we can get protection for Slade. But, Slade hits 2 home runs yesterday, a 3-run homer, a grand slam, and then he got a sacrifice fly. So 8 RBIs on the day. So not a bad day at the office.
All right, I know you're a big focus on the game that's next, and you better, because you got to go to Ruston on Tuesday night. I understand that. But, man, so many eyes are on this series this weekend in Conway, South Carolina, right outside of Myrtle Beach. This is part of the whole Southern Miss going to the Sun Belt Conference that we've all been looking forward to. Got to go to Coastal Carolina. Really good program and a really good team that's sitting in first place this weekend, or going into the weekend as well.
Yeah, they really are. Of course, you said it right. I'm not going to look past La Tech whatsoever. Great program. Lane does a great job over there, one of my best friends. So, he'll have them charged up, and we need to go over and have a good midweek showing, which hasn't been the best that we've done this year, in all honesty. We haven't played well in the midweeks, but hopefully, we'll continue where we left off yesterday and go over and play good baseball before we head to Conway. But you're right. I mean, Coastal Carolina, it's a program not too many years ago won the national championship, and a lot of times that's unheard of in non-Power 5 schools that can do that, and they were one of them. And they went the tough way. They went through LSU, I believe, that year to do it. And but Coach Gilmore, I've never met him. I've talked to him on the phone. We're anxious to meet each other and talk a little bit. But I know he's got an outstanding program. Obviously, they're playing very well. They took the series at Old Dominion. It took them 10 innings yesterday to do that on the road to win that series. But very offensive team from what I understand with their numbers, and it'll be a tremendous challenge to go on the road once again and try to win that series from a really good Coastal team.
Well, that's a great ballpark. I mean, you'll have just an outstanding setting for that coming up this weekend. You brought up the midweek. What happened with Alabama last Tuesday night? I mean, I know that's a good Alabama team, but that's kind of an unlike your team performance.
Yeah, I wish I could put my finger on it. I really do. Really disappointed in that one, but I'm thrilled that we were able to bounce back on Friday, and that's what we told them they had to do on Tuesday. And basically, I mean, we got took to the woodshed. I mean, we didn't do anything in any aspect of that game to have a chance to win. I mean, we fell behind right off the bat, 2-0. Armistead threw three innings of shutout baseball, but we knew we were going to have to use him on the weekend. So 3 innings was the max, and we really kind of pushed him a little further than we wanted. But, we couldn't keep them off the board, and we couldn't get on the board. And when you do that, then you're not going to win many games. So we asked them to forget about it and move forward, and certainly that's what they did. Responded well with those 3 wins. But that was a tough night. A long drive there and a long drive back.
I can imagine so. Well, a great weekend for your ball club, Coach. We, as always, appreciate your time. We'll be keeping up. Big week. Louisiana Tech tomorrow night, and then head to Conway for the weekend. All the best.